Have you ever crossed paths with someone in a supermarket line, at a bakery, at a bus stop, and later discovered that person changed your life? Indeed, that was no coincidence. And if you are watching this video now, I must tell you something very serious. There is someone who will appear in your path in the coming hours. It could be today, it could be tomorrow. But this person carries a message, an opportunity, or a door that you have been waiting for months, perhaps for years. The problem is that most people miss this encounter. They miss it because they are distracted, they are angry, they are too tired to notice, and then later they wonder why life does not move forward, why nothing changes. Stay here with me until the end, because I will show you exactly how to recognize this person, how to identify the signal, and what you need to do so as not to let this chance escape. This could change everything for you. Before continuing, I want you to think about something. How many times in your life has something good happened in a way you did not expect? A job that appeared through the recommendation of someone unlikely, a relationship that began in an unexpected place, information that arrived at the exact time you needed it. Think. Make an effort now and remember, because when we look back, we perceive a pattern. We perceive that the moments that most transformed our history were not planned by us. They were organized by something greater. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about today. I will divide this video into 3 parts. In the first, I will show you the signs that a divine encounter is approaching your life. In the second, we will understand why so many people miss these opportunities, even when they appear right in front of them. And in the third, which is the most important, I will give you a step-by-step guide for you to prepare yourself to receive what is coming. If you are here, it is not by chance. So stay until the end. Let us begin with the part that no one tells you. There is an invisible mechanic functioning all the time in your life. You may call this divine providence, synchronicity, the quantum field. The name does not matter. What matters is understanding that reality does not function only with what we see. There are layers operating that your rational mind does not reach. And one of the most powerful ways the universe uses to intervene in your trajectory is through people. Not angels with wings, not supernatural visions. Through ordinary people. People you meet at the market, in the bank line, in the dentist's waiting room. There is a very interesting research study conducted by the University of Edinburgh that studied what scientists call significant random encounters. Researchers followed the lives of hundreds of people over years and discovered something impressive. The events that most changed the trajectory of these people, career opportunities, lasting relationships, moving cities, emotional healings, in more than 60% of cases happened because of unplanned encounters with strangers or casual acquaintances. 60%. In other words, most life turnarounds did not come from direct effort. They came from a connection that simply happened. Now think about your reality. You live in Brazil. You leave home every day, face traffic lines, chase bills to pay, take care of family, deal with pressure at work. And in the midst of all this, you cross paths with dozens of people. In the building elevator, in the market aisle, at the pharmacy, in the parking lot. And each of these people carries a story, knowledge, a connection that could be exactly what you need. But you have your cell phone in your hand. You have headphones on. You are looking down. You are irritated because the traffic was heavy. And then the encounter passes, and the door closes. I will give you an example that happens all the time. Donna Marlene, 62 years old, lives in Belo Horizonte. She became a widow, was going through a very difficult financial situation. Her husband left debts she did not know existed. She was in a market near her house in the cleaning products aisle and began to cry. Truly cry there, in front of the shelves. A woman she had never seen in her life approached, offered a tissue, and asked if she needed help. Marlene, without knowing why, unburdened herself, told everything. Told. The stranger listened with patience, and at the end said, "I am a lawyer. I work with consumer law and estate debts. Let me help you." In 3 months, Marlene resolved 80% of the debts she thought would be her ruin. A lawyer. In the cleaning products aisle, on an ordinary day. Coincidence? I do not believe in that. And if you stop to think honestly, neither do you. Now pay attention. I need to tell you about something that will completely change how you view your daily life. And this is where the concept I call the antenna turned on comes in. But first, do me a favor. If up to this point this content has already made sense to you, give this video a like. This helps the channel take this message to more people who need to hear it. And subscribe, because every week there is content like this here. Let us go to what I call the antenna turned on. What does this mean? It means that the universe is sending signals all the time, but your antenna may be turned off. And when the antenna is turned off, the signal passes right through you. It is not that God stopped acting in your life, it is that you stopped perceiving. Neuroscience explains this very clearly. Our brain processes about 11 million bits of information per second, but our conscious mind can only deal with 40 to 50 per second. This means that 99.9% of everything happening around you goes unnoticed. Your brain needs to choose what to pay attention to. And do you know what defines this choice? What you are feeling, what you are thinking, what you expect from life. If you woke up believing the day will be bad, your brain will filter reality to confirm this. You will notice the traffic, the rudeness of a colleague, the bill that arrived, but you will not perceive the smile of the cashier who wanted to start a conversation, the neighbor who was going to offer you a job opening, the acquaintance who crossed paths with you at the market and had information that could solve your problem. This is not cheap mysticism. This is science. It is called confirmation bias combined with the brain's reticular activating system. You literally program your brain to see what you expect to see. And spirituality says the same thing with other words. When we have an open heart, we receive. When we have a closed heart, we block. The Bible speaks of this. The Quran speaks of this. Eastern traditions speak of this. No matter your faith, the principle is the same. Your internal disposition determines what you can receive from the external world. It is as if a frequency exists. And when you are tuned into that frequency, things flow. The right people appear. Doors open. When you leave that frequency, everything stalls. Now I know what you are thinking. Fine, but how do I stay in this frequency? Because my life is difficult, I am tired, I have problems at home, problems at work, health problems. How am I going to keep an open heart in the middle of all this? Excellent question. And that is precisely why so many people miss divine encounters, because difficulty turns off the antenna. Let us talk about that now. When life tightens, the human being enters a mode that psychology calls survival. Cortisol rises, the nervous system stays on alert, the body closes, the gaze narrows. You literally lose the ability to perceive opportunities because your entire organism is focused on surviving, not on prospering. This is biological. It is not weakness. It is not a lack of faith. It is your body trying to protect you. The problem is that many people stay stuck in this mode for months, for years. The person is so used to living in tension that they have forgotten how to be open, to be present, to be receptive. They go to the market and look at no one. They grab products from the shelf in a hurry, look at the floor, pay and leave. They return home and complain that God has forgotten them. But God sent someone in that line. He sent someone in that aisle. The person is the one who did not see. I want you to understand the gravity of this. How many encounters have you already missed? How many people crossed your path with the answer you needed and you did not perceive it? I'm not saying this to blame you. I am saying this to wake you up. Because from now on you can choose to do differently. Here in Brazil, we live a particular reality. The average Brazilian over 35 years old carries an absurd level of chronic stress. Research from the IBGE and the Ministry of Health shows that more than 40% of Brazilian adults present symptoms of anxiety. We live in a country where wages are tight, where public transport is precarious, where violence generates constant fear. And all of this creates emotional armor. We close ourselves off. We put on a serious face. We avoid eye contact. We distrust everyone. And in this process, unintentionally, we block exactly the opportunities that heaven is trying to deliver. And I want to give you a frightening datum. A study from the University of São Paulo showed that the Brazilian spends on average more than 9 hours a day looking at a cell phone screen. 9 hours. That is more than half the time a person stays awake. Now think, if you spend 9 hours a day looking at a device, how many hours are left to look at the human being beside you? How many are left to perceive the gaze of someone who could change your week, your month, your year? I know the story of a man named Roberto, 54 years old, a rideshare driver in São Paulo. Roberto was in a terrible phase, separated, living in a rented room in a boarding house, working 12 hours a day. One day he picked up a passenger going to a neighborhood he did not usually drive to. On the way, she started a conversation. He, by habit, was going to answer with monosyllables, the way he always did. But on that day, something changed. He was so exhausted that the armor fell. He was simply sincere. He said he was going through a difficult phase. The woman listened and said she worked with professional relocation. She said a logistics company was needing drivers with experience and that it paid 3 times more than he earned on the app. In 2 weeks, Roberto was employed, with a formal employment contract, with health insurance. All because one day he lowered his guard and let the conversation happen. Do you perceive the pattern? The opportunity did not come from a resume. It did not come from a job site. It came from an encounter, from a conversation, from a moment of vulnerability. And this happens because God does not work with human logic. He works with the logic of the heart. When the heart opens, providence acts. Now comes the part that will make a practical difference in your life. If you have reached this point, it is because this subject touches you, and I am certain it touches you because what I am going to say now is for you, specifically. It is not generic, it is personal. Stay with me. How to prepare for the encounter that is coming. First step, cleanse the internal field. Before anything else, you need to resolve what is messy inside you. I am not talking about perfection, I am talking about intention. If you wake up every day with anger, with hurt, with envy, with bitterness, you are emitting a frequency that repels good opportunities. It works like this. What you feel inside you creates an energetic field around you. Science has already shown that the human heart emits an electromagnetic field that can be measured several meters away. This is data from the HeartMath Institute in California. It is not guesswork. When you are angry, people around you feel it. When you are at peace, people also feel it. And the quality of the encounters you attract is directly proportional to what you are emitting. So practically speaking, forgive those who hurt you, not for them, for you. Let go of that hurt from the ex, the mother-in-law, the co-worker, the relative who disappointed you. You do not need to call the person. You do not need to send a message. Do it inside yourself. Breathe deeply and say, I let this go. I choose to free myself from this. It may seem too simple, but it is exactly in this simplicity that the power lies. Every time you release a resentment, you open space for something new to enter. Second step, change the expectation. Tomorrow when you leave home, I want you to leave with a different intention. Instead of leaving thinking, just another day, or here we go again, leave thinking, today could be the day. Today someone might cross my path with something important for me. This is not magical thinking. This is reprogramming your reticular activating system. When you tell your brain what to look for, it looks. When you give the instruction that important encounters can happen, your brain begins to notice faces, begins to hear conversations around you, begins to perceive openings that previously went unnoticed. I know this may seem difficult for those used to expecting the worst, but I ask you, try it for 1 week, 7 days. Leave home with this intention, and then come back here in the comments and tell me what happened. I bet that in 7 days at least, one unexpected encounter will happen in your life. Someone will say something you needed to hear. Someone will appear with information that changes something. Test it. It costs nothing. Third step, be available. This is crucial. Take off the headphones when you are in line. Put away the cell phone for 5 minutes. Look around. Make eye contact. Smile. I know that in Brazil we learn to protect ourselves, not to look into the eyes of strangers, not to start conversations. But there is a difference between prudence and isolation. You can be cautious without being closed. You can be attentive to your surroundings without being naive. The availability I speak of is not about opening the door of your house to anyone. It is about opening the door of your heart to perceive whom God has placed there. Fourth step, take care of your energy before leaving home. This is practical. Before leaving, drink a glass of water, breathe deeply 3 times, and say out loud or mentally a phrase of intention. It could be something like, "I am open to the best the day has for me," or "I trust that the right people will cross my path." This takes 30 seconds. 30 seconds that program your brain, align your energy, and completely change the quality of your encounters throughout the day. It is like calibrating an instrument before using it. If you do not calibrate, the result comes out crooked. Fifth step, honor the small encounters. Most people only want the big miracle. They want the angel to descend from heaven with a check in hand. But God works in the everyday. He works in the details. That lady who starts a conversation at the bakery could be the mother of someone who can help you. That young man who helps you carry a bag at the market could be the bridge to an opportunity you cannot even imagine. When you honor the small encounters, when you give attention, when you give thanks, when you reciprocate with kindness, you show the universe that you are ready to receive more. There is a universal spiritual principle that works like this. What you do with the little determines what you will receive of the much. If you ignore the small encounter, why would God send the large one? If you treat the stranger poorly, why would you receive the blessing that comes through the next stranger? Life is testing you all the time. Each interaction is an opportunity to prove that you are ready. Now I need to alert you about something that almost no one speaks of. Not every divine encounter comes packaged beautifully. Sometimes the person God sends to your path is someone who bothers you, someone who challenges you, someone who speaks a truth you do not want to hear. We have a habit of thinking that a blessing is only something good, something comfortable. But often the greatest blessing of your life comes disguised as conflict, as discomfort, as confrontation. Think of that friend who told you that you were wrong and you became angry. Think of that relative who criticized you and you distanced yourself. Could it be that God was using that person to wake you up to something you needed to change? Not every angel comes with the face of an angel. Some come with the face of a problem. And it is precisely in these difficult encounters that the greatest transformations happen. There is a concept in Jungian psychology called the shadow. It is that part of us that we do not want to see, do not want to accept. And often the people who irritate us most are the ones who mirror exactly what we need to work on in ourselves. The divine encounter is not always a gift. Sometimes it is a mirror. And whoever has the courage to look into that mirror grows. Whoever flees repeats the same cycles. I know this may be uncomfortable to hear, but this channel is not to make you feel good for 5 minutes and then forget. This channel is to truly transform you, and transformation requires honesty. It requires looking inward. It requires accepting that perhaps the change you want in life requires a change in you first. Let us talk now about something that will connect everything we have discussed so far. There is a window of opportunity that opens in your life from time to time. I call this the season of encounters. These are periods where the flow of people and situations around you intensifies. You start bumping into people. You start receiving invitations. You start being sought out by people who were distant. This is not random. It is a cycle. And when this season arrives, you need to be attentive because it is in it that the greatest changes happen. How to know if you are in a season of encounters? Pay attention to these signs. First, you start thinking about someone you haven't seen in a long time, and that person appears. Second, doors that were locked start to open without you making an effort. Third, you feel an internal restlessness, as if something were about to change. Fourth, you have vivid dreams with people or situations that seem to have meaning. Fifth, coincidences start to happen with an unusual frequency. If 3 or more of these signs are present in your life now, prepare yourself. Something is moving in your favor. Heaven is mobilizing people and circumstances around you, and your only responsibility is to be open, to be present, and to be willing to act when the moment arrives. Because this is the point where many people fail. Recognizing the encounter is half the way. The other half is acting. It is no use perceiving that that person has something important to tell you and remaining silent. It is no use feeling that that conversation could lead somewhere and cutting it off out of shyness. When the encounter happens, you need to take the next step. Ask the name. Ask for the contact. Accept the invitation. Say yes when everything inside you wants to say no out of fear. Fear is the greatest thief of divine encounters. Fear of opening up. Fear of appearing strange. Fear of being rejected. Fear of taking a risk. And in Brazil, where we live with so much insecurity, fear multiplies. But I must tell you, the fear will be there. It always will be. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. Every great story of transformation that I know begins with someone who felt fear and acted anyway, including the story of Roberto, which I told before. He was afraid to open up to a stranger in the car, but he acted, and his life changed. I want to close this video with something I deeply believe and that I see confirmed every day in the messages I receive on this channel. You are not here by chance. You clicked on this video for a reason, and that reason may be simpler than you imagine. Someone up there wants you to pay attention, wants you to open your eyes, wants you to leave automatic mode and perceive that your life is full of opportunities disguised as common encounters. Think of how many doors have opened in your life until today. The job you got, the friend who appeared at the right time, the advice that came from whom you least expected. All of this arrived through someone. And if it arrived before, it can arrive again. In fact, it is trying to arrive right now, right. Tomorrow when you leave home, look around. In the coffee line, in the market aisle, at the bus stop, in the clinic reception. Look with new eyes, because someone there may have exactly what you need. A word, an opportunity, a direction, a comfort. And if you have the courage to open up, to talk, to be present, you will discover that God never stopped acting in your life. He was only waiting for you to stop running so he could reach you. I want to ask you one thing. In the comments, write the word chosen. Write it because this is a pact between you and what you just heard. It is a way of saying, I understood, I am ready, I will pay attention. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, that friend who is going through a difficult phase, that relative who is discouraged, that colleague who thinks God has forgotten them, send them this video. Share it. Because perhaps this video is the encounter that person was needing. If you have reached this point, I am certain that this content touched something inside you. And if it touched you, it is because it was meant to. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell so as not to miss the next videos, because every week we bring content that mixes spiritual depth with practical tools to transform your reality. And remember, the greatest encounter you can have is the encounter with yourself. When you find yourself, when you discover who you truly are, what you truly want, what you truly came here to do, then all other encounters begin to make sense. Everything fits, everything connects, and life ceases to be a sequence of chances and becomes a story with purpose. You were chosen to be here. Now go out there and pay attention to whom God will place in your path. It could be today. It could be now. I will see you in the next video.